Are we live? Are we live? Or is YouTube going crazy right now? Let's see. I cannot see. Are we live? We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How are you doing? We have quite a couple updates. Oh, that's very, very loud. Excuse me. Let me fix the volume here. Okay. We have quite a couple updates. Sorry about that. We have Tuchel has supposedly snubbed Manchester United. Ten Hag is still under pressure. What is going on with the volume? Yes, so we have Ten Hag game model has been is being criticized. Teddy Sheringham has said his things um on Eric Ten Hag, saying that he will not last past Christmas or make it to Christmas. We have a Lenny Euro update. Fabrizio Romano gave a couple transfer updates, believe it or not. There's actually a couple other transfer updates, probably for the next couple windows. So we're going to get into that. Please smash the like button for me if you can. Richard Hawkins, good to see you, buddy. How you doing? Axe, it's good to see you. We're going to start a poll also. Eric Ten Hag, do you think he will still be the United manager in December? The title of this show is The Ten Hag Slander Must Stop, and we're going to get into that as well. A little bit of a freestyle today. Richard and Axe, can you let me know if the volume is sounding okay? Because it sounds a little messed up on my end. I don't know what's going on to. But if it's good, it's good. If it's a little bit loud, let me know. I'm trying to figure it out. But we're gonna start with the Tuchel snub, supposed snub. This came out from Bild via Sport Witness, which is a German outlet, of course. And the following reads as German pundit Marcel Reif on Thomas Tuchel almost becoming Manchester United manager in the summer. As we remember, there was a lot of talk about that. It seemed like Tuchel was the most likely candidate. In the end, it didn't happen. And he went on to say, I would have a lot that Tuchel would replace Ten Hag. I recently had another conversation with someone who was very close to that. It was pretty far along, almost in agreement. And then Rife on why the move then failed. He said, as far as the squad is concerned, the considerations were different. Tuchel said pretty much at the finish line, I'm not doing that. I won't do that to myself again. That I go to a club and then things come from outside. And that was the quote. Supposedly as to why Thomas Tuchel snubbed Manchester United. I don't think he snubbed Manchester United. I don't think he snubbed I don't think he snubbed Manchester United. I think he didn't get the job, and this seems to be a bunch of nonsense, really. And I don't know what is going on with the microphone. It is crazy loud. Let's see. Is that better? But what do you guys think about this? Get involved in the poll. Volume is good in my part. Okay, maybe it's just me. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't think Thomas Tuchel snubbed Manchester United. I think this is a international break story. I think it goes hand in hand with the Liverpool result. I think the pile on Eric Ten Hag, the hysteria, losing 2 matches out of 3 in the beginning of the season when he was close to losing his job, when there was all of that talk that went on, after the FA Cup final. I think this is more on the bullshit side than actual truth. Now, the speculation around this as to why Thomas Tuchel would supposedly turn down the managerial position at Manchester United is there was issues with transfer control. If it is true, this is the reasons, and I'm going to explain that quote pretty much because that quote isn't clear. Pretty much he was saying as a reason why, or a pivotal reason for Tuchel's decision, appears to be centered around control over transfers. Tuchel was not satisfied with the level of control he would have over recruitment at Manchester United. He reportedly wanted a say in who joined the team, a demand that was not fully met by United's hierarchy. This aspect was crucial for Tuchel, and given his past experiences where external influences on squad composition led to conflicts, as hinted in comments by Marcel Reif, indicating Tuchel's reluctance to repeat such scenarios. There was also maybe some supposed philosophical differences beyond the transfer control, where it seemed to be a broader philosophical mismatch. Tuchel, who's known for his tactical acumen and hands-on approach in his squad management, might have felt that Manchester United's structure under the new regime led by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos was not aligned with his vision. This structure, aiming for a collaborative approach with a defined football strategy, might have felt too restrictive for Tuchel, who prefers a more autonomous role. And then Tuchel's decision also reflects personal considerations, including his desire for a break from managing after leaving Bayern Munich. He expressed he needed time away from football, which might have influenced his decision against taking on another high-pressure job like Manchester United. I think those are all very good, valid points. I think there was definitely some transfer control issues. I think that's a well-known thing. I think Thomas Tuchel likes to be in complete control. I think the way that Ineos was moving and the way that Ineos was trying to set up Manchester United moving forward, I think that it was never going to line up. So Tuchel or his people might say that he snubbed Manchester United, and Manchester United might say that they snubbed Thomas Tuchel, specifically probably for these reasons in terms of transfer control and the philosophical differences. One side's going to say one thing, the other side's going to say the other. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think the headline that Tuchel snubbed Manchester United is 100%. I just don't think there was an agreement from both parties on either end, and that's why that didn't continue the way it is. Grace is in here, our wonderful moderator. Good to see you, Grace. And so I think, this is pretty much probably, it's just an international break story. I mean, the news is slow. There's not too much news really. So they got to do what they have to do and run the story. It comes on the back of Ten Hag. It probably gets some clicks. It comes on the back of Ten Hag being, put under pressure. And, we're going to kind of just do a little bit of a freestyle tonight because there's not too much news, like I already said. And, it's the weekend, so we could kind of just do that. And the thing is, I see some fans coming around. I know Axe is still very, very sad about the Liverpool match. But I see a lot more fans that were a lot more reactionary when we lost. They're coming around a little bit. They're calming down. The rhetoric isn't as much in terms of hate on Ten Hag from our own fan base. But yet some of our ex-players and some of just pundits and journalists continue to hammer Erik Ten Hag in a very, I would say, very disrespectful way. And they really want this man to lose his job, and it has to stop. People, you don't have to want him to be the manager. If you're a Manchester United fan, you don't have to necessarily believe in him, and you don't necessarily have to like him. I have a lot of respect for those that are in that camp that can put two sentences together without calling him a bald fraud or whatever other obscene, nasty comment you want to make about him. Um, I really don't have respect for these people. They're just they're really low lives. They're low IQ people. I'm kind of tired of it coming from our own fan base. If it comes from the other fan bases, I expect it. I expect the Chelsea fan. I expect a Manchester City fan. I expect a Liverpool fan to call him a bald fraud. You're a Manchester United fan. You're calling your own manager a bald fraud. There's no discussion with you. So with those people, they have to stop. But I'm just I'm getting a little bit tired here because the people in positions with the large audience keep framing the talk around Ten Hag and him losing his job. And we're 3 matches into the season. And every single season under Ten Hag, we've started slow. This is nothing new, and that is an issue in itself. And it is an issue that has to be addressed 110%. But this is nothing new. We've been here. I think the main part of the issue, or something that's going to help us overcome this, is because we do seem to find some type of form. We do seem to find some type of, our feet as we go a little bit in. Obviously, last season we didn't really. It took quite a while, and it didn't happen because we suffered the injuries. We have to make sure that the injuries keep under wraps. And I think I'm fairly confident we'll be all right. I feel like we will find our form. I feel like we will find, rhythm in the way we play. And I think the results and performances will improve slowly but steadily as we move on. I think the injuries are the number one thing we have to watch out for, because if we start losing players all over the pitch, I think unfortunately we won't be able to make it out of that situation. And I think then Erik Ten Hag will seriously be in a position where his job is seriously hanging on by a thread. I don't think his job right now is necessarily hanging on by a thread. I do think he's under pressure slightly. I don't think he's under immense pressure as of right now, because there's a lot of matches and he has a lot of time to turn things around and get results and put it into his favor. But certainly he can turn this whole situation around. There's a lot of matches to be played. There's a lot of football to be played. And the games are going to come quick and heavy. So we will see where that takes us. But I really don't believe certain things. I think there's certain things that we really need to figure out, how we're going to do. My thing is like the midfield. I was thinking about this because of the discussion we had last time. And I think the midfield, for me, currently but currently still is the biggest issue. I think we need to figure out how to get that midfield to be operating efficiently and properly to the best that it can operate. And something that came into my mind today, which I could be wrong, I could be right, I could be thinking in cuckoo land, but we all know how Bruno likes to kind of go all over the place. He's pushed up very high. Sometimes he's even ahead of the striker. And we have Casemiro, and then we have Kobe Mainu. And the discourse around the Manchester United midfield right now is pretty much that Casemiro doesn't have the legs, and Kobe's basically doing the job of two players, and it's just completely dysfunctional. And I think something that we have to keep in mind is that, let's say Ugarte comes in, and Ugarte is playing instead of Casemiro, but yet we're not really seeing too much of an improvement. The midfield is still not clicking well together. There's still too many gaps. The gap between the defense and the midfield line, the midfield's getting just cut open. I think something that might have to happen is if Eric Ten Hag wants Bruno Fernandes to keep playing how Bruno Fernandes is playing, we might have to consider maybe playing a double pivot. I feel like Eric Ten Hag might have to consider playing a double pivot if this midfield cannot figure itself out, because it's too exposed, which means that you got to do something. You got to do something to make it less exposed, which would be playing a double pivot, which would essentially be either playing Kobe in that spot as a double pivot, or you would have to drop Kobe, play Bruno Fernandes in front, and then play Ugarte and Casemiro as the starting double pivot, and see how that goes. I don't think I'm not too fond of a back three, Grace, but I am going with the double pivot. I do think that that's something we might have to do there if we can't figure it out. Now the thing is, I don't know if Ten Hag's actually going to do that, because as we all know, Ten Hag is very stubborn, and when he sets on a plan, he wants that thing as a plan. He sticks to it. He forces it almost to a certain extent too far, and to a fault. So, I think it's something that we might have to consider, even though I know it's not going to be a popular thing, because everybody wants Kobe Mainoo to play. Everybody thinks Kobe Mainoo probably deserves to start and play, and I also am in that agreement. But at the same time, we need to do what's best for the overall team, and if we just can't seem to get that midfield to click, then I don't know where we go from that. I mean, some people would say drop Bruno Fernandes, but I mean, in a tactical football sense, I'm not going to disagree. But in terms of what is a reality of might actually happen, there's more of a chance. There's a way higher percentage of Kobe Mainoo being dropped to the bench and having a double pivot of Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte than there is Bruno Fernandes being dropped or taking out of the squad. I think there's absolutely no chance, because Bruno is the captain. That's number one. And number two, I think Eric Ten Hag he really likes Bruno Fernandes. And I just don't think there's any way that Bruno Fernandes would get dropped. I think the most likely outcome would be Kobe Mainoo, unfortunately for him. But I mean, we could also get Kobe Mainoo and Manuel Ugarte double pivot, but it just has to be some type of a double pivot. Axe was saying earlier when I was talking about our ex-players and people commenting on Ten Hag, just saying, in my opinion, Gary Neville was harsh with his comments on Ten Hag scheduling a deadline for November to evaluate the manager and probably change him. Sir Alex Ferguson would have argued with such a journalist. Well, it's one of the things, Axe, is it's something that's really pissing me off. Just it's really the tone. It's the tone in which they're saying things about him, and it's a lot of our ex players, and I'm really tired of it, because you know what keeps popping into my head, when Solskjaer was here, and Solskjaer, we got to the point where the fan base had enough with Solskjaer, and we were really criticizing him heavily. And all our ex-players, or all the ex-players that are pundits that had something to say, they never ever talked about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in this way, and especially to the point where it was like clear and obvious, and we were getting frustrated with them because they wouldn't say anything even remotely close to what they've been saying to Eric Ten Hag now, and we wanted them to say it because we were tired of them defending their mate, who was not doing a good job. And now it's the complete opposite. And it's very hypocritical to me. And it really just gets under my skin that they, you don't have to believe that this guy is going to be the answer. You don't have to believe that he's actually going to succeed. But the manner in which they're speaking of him, to me, is 100% disrespectful in a professional sense. I think if they're supposed to be professional pundits and they're ex-Manchester United players and they're legends of the club, I don't think that they're doing the club a service by talking in the manner that they're speaking about the current Manchester United manager, especially when they know better than anybody that if you're not a Manchester United fan, if you're not a Manchester United supporter, everybody hates us. Everybody's out to get us. Everybody, if there's a moment to attack us, if there's a moment to make fun of us, if there's a moment to bring us down, they will take it. And they aid in those moments, and I'm tired of it. I really am, and it has to stop. Listen, it's never gonna stop from other people from other clubs, fans of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. That's expected. I expect that. If they don't do that, it would weird me out, and I would be strangely concerned if they're not doing it. But from within our own fan base and within our own ex-players and ex-whoever that's associated with Manchester United, they need to stop saying so much. I think they should stop talking so much. I think it's really been doing the club a disservice for quite a number of years. And it's getting tiring and it's getting boring, to be quite honest. I don't even really listen to what they say too much anymore. But as a point, Teddy Sheringham did say something today, and we'll get back on to that. But I want to get back into the comments so I could catch up on that. Get involved in the poll. We have a live poll. Do you think Ten Hag will still be the manager by December? I want to know. And smash the like button if you haven't smashed the like button. I greatly appreciate it. So Axe was also saying losing Neves is truly devastating. He's one of the few footballers who can satisfy Erik Ten Hag's multiple requirements for the CDM. I blame Ineos. I mean, it was a strange thing, Axe. It was a strange thing as to how PSG was able to do that deal for that price. Meanwhile, when we were in for him, they were literally trying to take the 120 million. And it just seemed like they basically told United 120 million or nothing, and then they sold him to PSG for 65 million. I don't know if it's because PSG have Luis Campos and he was able to do a deal. I don't know if Benfica were really trying to test Ineos to see how competent they are. Since we were so stupid in the past, we would have probably paid the 120 million. But we did miss out in a player that I believe would have fit our system beautifully, and for Erik Ten Hag, because I do think, again, he is an all-arounder. But at the same time, Max, one player at this moment, with all the problems that we have, is not necessarily a make or break. I don't think if we had João Neves, we would still have a lot of other problems. And these problems are, in my opinion, they're smaller problems. They're more fixable problems. And I think, we need to figure those out. Really, I think somebody mentioned, I don't know if it was Grace or if it was Stephanie on the last show, but somebody said back to the basics, and we kind of have to do that in certain terms. I mean, just basic stuff, less mistakes, better choices when you're making a decision out there on the pitch, better positioning, better form, like holding the formation, holding the shape of the team while you're on the pitch. Little things like that are things that are actually, that's what I'm focused on right now. That's what's concerning me, because if you don't get the little things right, we're not going to be able to get the bigger things right. And we need to fix the smaller things, because they make a huge difference when you add them all up together. Grace was saying double pivot in the back three. Axe disagrees with the back three. No way, sorry, too dangerous. I mean, it depends how we play it, I guess. I'm not too fond of a back three. It is very actually popular nowadays. It goes against the football that I grew up on, to be quite honest. I'm still trying to adapt to it. Every time I see a back three, I just see a back five. It's just what's the term for it? It's I forgot. Don't worry about it. It's something stupid anyway. Grace saying if you want your fullbacks to go forward, then we need a back three. Intersporting, Leverkusen all play a back three. Well, they do. They do. And maybe it's something we need to kind of look into. But I don't think Eric Ten Hag is not the manager to play a back three. So maybe if Ten Hag ends up no longer being the manager at some point, and we get somebody else in, maybe we will see a back three later on in the future for Manchester United. Somebody that will play a back three. I would actually be concerned, Grace, if Eric Ten Hag decided to play a back three, because that's not his style, that's not his philosophy, which I think there's discussion that he kind of has to change things to his philosophy and his style slightly, but that to me is a major change, and I would be very much more concerned because it's kind of just like he's throwing everything out of the window. He doesn't know what the hell to do anymore, and he's kind of just winging it at that point, and I think that's even more dangerous. Um, so but I would go in terms of for Eric Ten Hag, something that he can definitely change and definitely look into is if he cannot get that midfield to be efficient and operate properly, I think it wouldn't be a bad look if he moved to a double pivot, for sure, and let Bruno do what Bruno is currently doing now, which is basically initiating the press and swapping with the striker. Basically, he's essentially a shadow striker at moments. Another thing he could do is have Bruno Fernandes just not go up like that, and not initiate the press and try and initiate the press in another way. I don't know how effective that would be per se, because apparently I think they rate Bruno as probably the best person to initiate the press. I think Rasmus Højlund. I think when you think of Rasmus Højlund, I think Rasmus Højlund initiates the press a lot better than Joshua Zirkzee. So maybe there might be some play there once Rasmus Højlund is back, which he's expected to be back soon, which is good news as well. And we have a couple updates on other players. And then Axe is saying, I saw a video by Statman. Yes. No, it's all right. I know Statman. I would recommend Ugarte simply as a ball-winning midfielder CDM. Let him play simple passes. No Regista role for him. Yeah. I mean, it seems like that's what his best thing is really just a ball-winning CDM. But he himself has stated the other day that he does see himself with the ability to create plays as well. So, I mean, if he's confident in himself in doing that, and he can do it, and he proves that he's able to do it, then let him do it. You know, you can go watch clips of him and all that is good, and I definitely watched a couple clips of him, and I usually do for players that we buy just to really see, what they can offer. But we won't know for sure until he actually puts on the Manchester United kit and steps onto the pitch for Manchester United and plays. So I'm looking forward to it. I wanted to see what he actually can offer to us in our shirt. There's a lot of talk, a lot of speculation, and there's probably actually a lot of extra pressure, added pressure on him right now. And I'm not per se trying to add the pressure on him. I have a lot of hope. I'm hoping that he can, come in and provide something very quickly. But again, I won't be here as I am with all players that come to Manchester United, especially if you come from outside the Premier League. I give you a 1-year grace period, a 1-season grace period. So, if Ugarte struggles or whatever, I'm not going to be here basically destroying his career, on match reviews and stuff. Obviously, I will criticize if I don't think it's good enough, but I will continue to give the benefit of the doubt for at least a season. It's just how I operate. Um, you know, you never know. He could come in and hit the ground running. He could struggle for 4 months to find his feet, and it could be a bit of a battle. But I'm hoping that he hits the ground running because we could definitely use that. We could definitely use that injection. Um, Axe also saying playing Mano as a complete center mid, or Regista as they're known. Bruno as a cam, and Mano is the one who has to evolve a lot. I believe he is also capable of that. I think Mano is capable of that as well, and that's kind of a little bit of a problem as well. Is that because Manu still has development he has to do. He still has growing to do. But I think Manu does have first of all, I think he has the vision, and I think he has the brain, and the ability is there, but the ability is something that can always be proved. But I think he has the vision and the mentality, and even the work rate to be a complete center mid. I think he can. I think he can literally be a jack of all trades. I think he could do it all in the midfield. He's not there yet. He still has to grow. He still has improvement to do. He's a young kid, and he's not there yet, which is kind of bad because we kind of need him to be there. But obviously, there's nothing you could really do. You just have to go through the process. But I do fully believe that he can get there. Um, Whoa, I lost everything. Gray's saying it's funny how the media didn't turn on Arteta when he finished eighth twice. Uh, yeah, it's because he's Arteta. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, you see the media; they suck up to certain personalities. It's very strange. Um, Manchester United, they play a little game. It's a weird game they play with Manchester United. When the manager comes in, it's a lot of hype. They pretend to be friends or friendly with the manager. And they basically just wait until shit starts going wrong, and then they stab the manager in the back in every chance they get. And it's a very strange cycle at Manchester United. I don't see it happen at other clubs. I really don't. Any other top clubs, they 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 suck off Pep every chance they get. They do it to Arteta as well. You know, they did it to Poch. Poch wasn't even doing great either, but the way they were hitting Ten Hag and the way they refused to ask Poch even like a question on performance, or hit him with even a headline remotely close to Eric Ten Hag. It is very, very strange why it seems to be only Manchester United managers get this treatment, because it's not just Eric Ten Hag. They did it to Mourinho. They didn't really do it to Oli. They did it sort of kind of at the end, but it was nowhere to the level of Jose Mourinho and Eric Ten Hag. And Jose Mourinho is an antagonizer. So, they did it to him real bad. I think Eric Ten Hag in the beginning, he wasn't so much an antagonizer. I think especially in his first season, I think he kept it very respectful. I think he kept it very calm. But we've seen as time has gone on that he has, been hitting out back at journalists and the media more and more as they've increased their level of disrespect and unprofessionalism towards him. I mean, we just seen it in the after the match press conference against Liverpool, where the journalist asked him a question. I forgot what the question was, essentially, but he did tell him basically like, you believe that he basically essentially was like, you're a fool, and I feel sorry for you. Eric Ten Hag was not doing that in the first season at Manchester United. Now, I did know that he does not like the media, and I've seen him do similar stuff like that when he was at Ajax. Obviously it was in Dutch, but he did do some things like that, but he didn't do it in his first season, and it's increasing. And there's a reason for that, because they keep trying to stab him in the back with a knife. But yeah, it's very very weird. Lyle, good to see you, buddy. Uh, I just popped in here. Well, thanks, Lyle. Appreciate it. Nostalgia. Gray's saying, well, he wants to play a 3-1 build up shape, so he clearly wants 3 players at the back. Yeah, I mean, he is doing something. I guess you're right in that aspect, Grace. He is doing something kind of like that. The shape does end up like that to a certain extent, because the right back and the left back are inverting. They are going into like the center mid essentially. And in the back we are ending up with basically just 2 center backs and what's supposedly supposed to be the CDM. So it is technically almost essentially it is a 3 back. Oh, that's what it was. They call it a dynamic 3 back instead of a 5 back because it sounds more attractive. Dynamic 3 back. Yeah. So essentially, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Grace. He is already kind of playing something like that. It's just it's a little bit it's a little bit different to what Leverkusen and Sporting and Inter play. Theirs plays a little bit differently. Ours is shaped a little differently. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I didn't even think about it in that aspect. To be fair, there's basically 3 people back there, and that is in build up. That is in build up, as Axe pointed out. So that's a good point. There's a lot of shifting of positions going on, and the shape. So maybe that's one of the problems. Maybe one of the problems is in build up. We are going into that shape, and then on defense, we're trying to go into another shape, and maybe it's just not working. Maybe it's just not working out for numerous amount of reasons. Whether the players understand how to do it, whether they're capable of doing it. Maybe it's just the wrong set of, maybe it's just the wrong plan. Maybe it's the wrong set of tactics. And the tactics just don't go well together. And they need adjustment. They need changing. Rajat, how you doing? We'll get Ruben off Al Halal maybe. Well, I don't know. At Red Devil Experience, if you want big slab headers, destroyer, play him at full 6. Axe saying they need to play position based, not transition based, keeping the ball move. Keeping the ball more. We all love goals, like the one against City in the FA Cup, but don't try that all the time. Rajat's petitioning for Maguire at 6. That would be comical. Honestly, he would get skinned alive. At 6, he would get absolutely skinned. I mean, you're saying Casemiro got no legs? I wouldn't want to see Maguire at 6 for sure. Liked Garnacho's goal more than Mayno's goal, to be honest. Grace saying 1 season grace period or get out. Yes, 1 season grace period by Grace. Puns fully intended all over the place. Axe saying the question was how much long is it going to take to rebuild the team, and then the journalist simply told Eric where the team is going bad. Yes, it was. But he doesn't like that. He doesn't like the criticism from the journalist. Eric Ten Hag is a manager. He's gonna sit there. He's gonna sit there and listen to criticism from my football journalist. Now, I think maybe he couldn't, maybe he could have formed the question a little bit better. I think, because I did hear part of that, and he was saying it was like the criticisms were coming out of his mouth. I think if he asked the question like the fans, because then it puts Ten Hag more in a position to not attack the fans. But I think the way the journalist said it made it seem like it was the journalist's own criticisms. So Ten Hag more than just attack the journalist instead of actually answering the question. Where if you form the question to him and say, well, there's many fans concerned about, you know, this, why is the team losing the ball so much? Why is this and that? There's a lot of discussion going on in the fan base about this. You know, what do you have to say to them? Something like that. But they don't do that. They don't do that. Richard saying, if I seen an improvement in the style of play and win a cup and get an automatic European League place, I would be happy. And I think against Fulham and even Brighton, we did see an improvement in play. Um, we did slightly. The problem is, when we went to go play Liverpool, which shows how far away we are from the top teams. I think, you know, last season, um, we did suffer because we couldn't find our legs no matter who we played. One game we would play, you know, there was that match against Villa where we had the comeback, and it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was some of the greatest 45 minutes I seen of Manchester United under Eric Ten Hag, and then we'd go play the next match, and we didn't know what to do with the ball. We were slow. We were, you know, clueless. We didn't have any creativity. We were sloppy, and it would be against a smaller team. It would be against a Brentford or against, you know, and not saying that these teams aren't good, but at the end of the day, we're supposed to be Manchester United, and we should be winning these games. I mean, we have to be winning these games because at the minimum, we need to be in top four always at the minimum. And that's kind of the area that I'm focusing on right now. I think, you know, the Liverpool match was there. Um, and I keep saying we were not ready for that match. Now, there's going to be people out there that argue we're Manchester United. How can you not be ready? But we just weren't. We weren't ready for that match. We started slow. Uh, you know, we look slow. We look like we're struggling still to find our feet for whatever reason. I can't put my hand on that as to why. Again, it's, you know, 3 seasons in, and every season we seem to have this problem. I don't know what the root cause of that is. Um, and some people will maybe blame Eric Ten Hag, but I just find I don't understand. You know, for me, I think Eric Ten Hag is well aware of that issue, and I don't think it's something that Eric Ten Hag wouldn't try to address. So there has to be something else going on there. Um, but for sure, you know, that's just, yeah, that's what I'm looking for against these smaller teams. I think against Fulham, we didn't play bad at all. I think we did pretty good. We could have had a couple more goals, and even versus Brighton, you know, it was a slip up. There was things that we needed to do better, which we didn't do better in the next match against Liverpool, which is why we got punished so badly, because we made similar mistakes that we made against Fulham and we made against Brighton. Um, but we did create some chances versus Fulham and versus Brighton, and there was some encouraging signs there. We need more time to build up to that so that we could get a little bit more confidence, because from what I seen when we played Liverpool, we were lacking confidence, and we kind of went back into our shell. We were lacking confidence in terms of, you know, we felt the pressure of the press, and we were playing scared. We were afraid. We were afraid, and it just led to us losing the match. And just something on X that said before, the question was how long is how much is it going to take to rebuild the team? And then the journalist simply told Ten Hag that the team is going bad. Well, you know, the question on how long it's going to take to rebuild the team, I think we've all pretty much answered this. At a certain period, when Ranić was here, he said you could do it in three transfer windows. If you do 3 good transfer windows, I think you could do it in 3 transfer windows. I mentioned this before, but there is a problem in terms of the optics at Manchester United right now, and that is because we have a new hierarchy with new people in charge of the footballing side. This is technically their first season, but we have a manager who is in his 3rd season. and what's going to happen, and it's already happening. Which side is the fan base going to look at? Because you cannot say we're starting a new project, we have new people under or a new, regime on the footballing aspect, and this is, year 1, and then, oh, but this is year 3 for Eric Ten Hag. I mean, I know it is year 3, but if we're starting a rebuild and we're starting a new project, we as fans, in my opinion, have to pick one. It's either a new project or we're to year 3 into Ten Hag. Because at some point, I feel like we're going to hit a major crossroad, and we're almost kind of there already. To the fact of we have new owners or new structure, and then we have Eric Ten Hag in his 3rd season, but both cannot necessarily exist. So if we're doing a new structure thing, then Eric Ten Hag has to get kind of a cleaner slate than he has. But I know he's not going to get it. He's not. It's just not. It's just not a thing that's going to happen. Um, that's more of something like if I had my way and I could make things how they are, I would do it in that way. But it's not going to happen because there's just no way. There's too many people in the world with too many ideas. And there's going to be a large majority that are going to be like, he has to go. It's his 3rd season. Um, and there's others that are out here that are saying, listen, we all knew what it was. We all knew it was going to take some time to rebuild. We have had our first proper, probably, transfer window in quite some time. And, Eric Ten Hag, this is year 1 for him under a proper football regime. The 2 other years were not under the old regime, and under the old regime we all pretty much came to a point where we said, it's their fault, it's not the manager. And now, there's a possibility at some point that it's going to flip back onto Eric Ten Hag now because we have a new regime, and it's all his fault. But still, to rebuild this team, I still think at this current moment, it's still gonna take another 3 seasons to get it to where we really want it to be. I think it has to be 2, 3 seasons, and they have to be 2 to 3 good seasons. So, I just don't think he's gonna be afforded that time, unfortunately, unless Ineos do something that I don't think they're gonna do. But again, we're still getting used to them and getting to know them and the way they operate per se, and that is that maybe they really believe in Ten Hag to a certain aspect, um and maybe we're talking about December, and maybe the results aren't great, and but maybe they give him the whole season, to a certain point. I mean, if we're not in like 10th and out of the Europa League or something like that, I think if we're in a decent position, and even if there's some people talking about he needs to get sacked, I think if we're not in the greatest position, but we're not in the worst position, I think they might even give him the whole season. Um, because I just think the decision they made, um, I think the decision they made, they had to have they had to have belief and trust that he is good enough for the job and the direction that they are trying to go into. So, um, Buckwheat saying Eric Ten Hag's slander can only stop when he gets out of Manchester United Football Club. He's not wanted 3. He's not wanted 3 years with no playing style. Sack him now. Stop supporting this clown. Well, Buckwheat. I mean, there's no reason for you to call him a clown. Again, you don't have to call him a clown. He is a football manager. Um, Now I can agree with the fact that you don't want him there. He's not wanted there. I disagree with that though, because when we got him, he was unanimously wanted by like 95% of the Manchester United fan base around the world. Um, and when his job was on the line at the end of last season, he was majorly backed by the Manchester United fans to give him another season. Um, you say he has no playing style. We do have a playing style. The playing style is not being executed properly. Now you could say that's his fault. And essentially partially it is, but we do all know that this team has had problems. I mean, who's gotten the playing style at Manchester United correct in the last 11 years? Who's gotten it correct? Who was playing beautiful and fantastic performing football at Manchester United out of all the managers? Because a lot of people argue Jose Mourinho is our best manager post Ferguson. Well, Mourinho's football wasn't beautiful. It was shit at times. It was hard to watch. You know, Ollie's wasn't great at times either. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad. Moyes, I you don't even talk about. LVG was boring as shit, and watching the ball pass sideways left to right for 78 minutes. Ranić didn't work out, but he wasn't supposed to be a manager. And we have Ten Hag. So, uh this isn't specifically a Ten Hag issue. The squad needs to be rebuilt. We are in the middle of a rebuild. We have one transfer window under this new regime, and we need another two more windows to get it to where it is. I know the football that Eric Ten Hag is trying to play. I mean, it's clear to see the football that Eric Ten Hag is trying to play. When he plays it, the execution has been poor. Now, the execution has been poor, I think, simply because, again, we are trying to teach players how to play a style that not all of them necessarily fit. We have some missing parts, and some of them I still do believe there's some players there that they just do not fit the style, and it is a struggle to try and conform them and to get the team to gel and to play the way that they need to play. We have a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Grace knows what she's talking about because she's played Football Manager. I play Football Manager too, so I definitely know what I'm talking about. Axel is saying, so do I. Should have transferred Neves and Scalvini and then play at the play three at the back. I'm about to do that when I load it up in a little bit. Maguire, the modern day libero. Richard saying we are off the pace, but players need time to adjust. Yes. Grace saying, when was you happy with the style of play in the last 11 years? That is the question that I was asking. Richard saying, I haven't been happy with the style of play, but that is what I want to see improved. I think we can get there. I think we've seen glimpses of it as well. There's times under Ten Hag where we have seen glimpses of it, especially in that first season. I think we played very, very, very well at times, and I'm trying to figure out how we seemed to lose that, because I think last season, I think it was very easy to say why. It was because of all the injuries, a lot of chopping and changing going all over, which leads to inconsistency because you have 13 center back partnerships. Um, you have no left backs. You have no backup to the right backs. The midfield, was chopping and changing. We had one striker available, so there was a mess there. Um, the first season, I think he did very, very good, and I honestly, that first season kind of messed him up a little bit because I think the expectations went so high after he took over a team that was probably the worst. In my opinion, they were the worst Manchester United team in over a decade, probably, simply just because of not just the position that they finished in, but also for the fact of just the downing of tools, the toxicity that they showed towards the manager, and the disrespect at the time, just literally downing tools, not playing, not giving a shit, you know. So it's always going to be a big, big big thing. Rich is saying I haven't been no, I already read that. Axlord saying manager in the third season with new management and new coaches. That's what I'm saying. So we're kind of at a we're kind of at a we're kind of at a crossroad here. It is a little bit like, it's not just like, oh, this is his third season and that's it. Um, there is a little bit of, it is his third season, but at the same time, we literally just got a proper football structure. And this is going to be their first full season in charge. So it's like, it's like, well then, like, what about Ten Hag? Like, does he does he not get like more of an opportunity, I guess? Like, or is he really only going to get this one season? Um because I think, there are people there like Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth. They are also in the background they're working with Eric Ten Hag now to help him, and it's not just his assistant managers, like he pretty much was previously doing. His first two seasons, Eric Ten Hag, there was no there was no Dan Ashworth, there was no Jason Wilcox to help him out on the footballing side. It was Eric Ten Hag and his two assistant managers and his coaching staff, and they basically had to do everything. Um, now he has a little bit more help. So hopefully, if they're working well together, they can actually all figure it out as a collective, because this is how a football club is supposed to operate. Um, I just, I think from a public perception, especially, the narrative from the media, they're never gonna mention that, and two, they're gonna go down the route of trying to just basically get him fired. They wanted him fired. They can't believe he didn't get sacked. Um, and every chance they get, they're gonna try and just pile on the pressure and the hate, and try and rile up as many United fans as possible with headlines and talk to turn on him. But interestingly enough, on that point as well, there are a couple people um that were candidates for the job that are technically becoming available. I mean Tuchel is still there. Even though we talked about this and we listed reasons as to why that agreement didn't happen. And I think unless unless Thomas Tuchel changes his mind or approach and what he wants, I don't think he'll be coming to Manchester United, because I don't think Sir Jim and the rest and co are going to change their approach to how they just started their reign at Manchester United. And there's also the dreaded Gareth Southgate is also currently a free man. So there is that to kind of think about on the back end as well. If they do decide to part ways with Eric Ten Hag at some point. Richard saying every United team I have watched since 1966 until Fergie left had one thing in common: they played entertaining football, and that is something that we really have been missing for quite some time. But I think when you're run so poorly, uh, you know, when we've been run so poorly and the poor decisions that we made for so long, we've definitely lost our way, Richard. On that, and I think while I do want to see, obviously that come back, I think we are quite far off the mark in terms of making that something as a priority right now, because of all the other problems that we have to fix and things that we have to get right. But at the same time, I do think it kind of goes hand in hand, because I think if we play a very attacking style of football, which is an efficient style of football, one that produces goals and one that is threatening and one that makes teams afraid when we play us, I think that also does make it entertaining in terms of the Manchester United way and style. So it kind of does have to go hand in hand with the way things are going right now. Um and I agree with you guys here. You know, the 99 and the 08 team were very special. We will never have a team like that again. Well, never say never, Grace. Um, you never know. See? Only say never when you say you never know, because you never know. We could have a team maybe just as good, maybe just slightly just as good, maybe better. You never know. You never know what the future holds. We'll see. I mean, right now we won't. Right now we won't. But you never know. You never know. Listen, football is a thing of periods. You go through cycles. There's very, very good periods. There's very, very bad periods. We've been in a very, very bad period. And at some point we have to break the cycle. At some point we will break the cycle and we will enter a new period. And it's only a matter of time. I feel like. So um no one has played great football, and that's what I was getting on. Like, it's not just a Ten Hag thing. I don't know, you know, I think there are problems at Manchester United that still need to be addressed before a manager can come in here and just play the greatest football that anybody has ever seen. I think that is a byproduct of fixing all the other things. And I think if you don't fix all the other problems that we have, I don't think you can even play great football. I don't think you can play great football unless you figure out, the personnel. Per se. The players' playing style, the way they want to play, the decisions they make on the pitch, making sure that they're not sloppy, making sure that they're not, making huge mistakes, making sure that they're in the positions they're supposed to be. Um, you can coach to a certain level, but also, if it was so easy to be able to coach any player and get any player to do anything you want, why didn't Pep Guardiola keep the team that he got when he came in at Manchester City? Why did he replace multiple players in multiple of the same positions? Why did he get like four right backs? Why did he get four different right backs? Why didn't he just keep the first right back that was already at the club? Why couldn't he just coach him to be and do the things Pep Guardiola wanted? Why couldn't he coach one of the other three that he bought? Why couldn't he make him, be in the position that he wants him to be, or make the decisions he wanted him to make, or make the passes he wanted him to make? Why couldn't he make him run faster? It's things like that you can't to a certain extent. You cannot. I think with younger players, I think you can do that because I think you can mold them. But there's players, once you hit a certain age, you can't really develop them in certain aspects if they don't have it much more. To the point where it's going to help the team in that aspect. You know. So again, while we have changed quite a lot, we still have a lot more changes that need to be made. And I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still going to be in a position where it is going to be a struggle. It is not going to be it's going to be the good, the bad and the ugly. We're going to have good periods, we're going to have some bad periods in the season, and we're going to have probably some ugly moments like we did against Liverpool. For sure. He's gonna have to try and do the best he can and finish the best he can. And if he could win another trophy or two along the way, I think that's only gonna help his case anyway. So, Axe saying Casemiro legs went off. This is how we lost. The execution of the playing style. A slow CDM isn't fitting the style. Well, he is. It's not even just his legs, though. It's not even just his legs. His reactions were slow. Like when he was getting the ball, he was slow to react in terms of the pressure that was being applied to him. Um, he lost the ball multiple times, not just because of his legs, but even his mentality at the time. It was like he got caught slipping a couple times, where he was just like, he was in like gear one, And we needed him to take it up a gear, and he just left it in that gear. His reactions were slow as well. Not It's not just his legs, his reactions, like his scanning of the field. That's more of the concern than the legs. The legs, we all knew where was going because he's getting old. It's the more the vision. It's more of the vision aspect that is concerning me, because even that pass that he made that led to the goal, where he basically just rocketed it into the Liverpool player for no fucking reason, because there was nobody on him, and he could have taken 7 touches before making that pass, and he didn't have to make that pass. He could have made another pass if he really wanted to. That's the part that concerns me. It's not even his legs per se. It's more of his mentality, his intelligence and decision making has slumped down, which is the bigger worry for me. Um, Richard saying, my one criticism of Eric Ten Hag is that he can be over loyal to people. I agree with you, Richard. To players who are not performing. I like Rashford. I think he's a nice guy, but I don't pay 600 pounds a time to see nice people. No, I agree with you, and I keep mentioning that because it is a thing, and I'm well aware that he does do it. And some people, they can't seem to articulate it for whatever reason. They can't. They misunderstand it as something else, which I don't know why or how, really. I think it's kind of obvious to see that he is like that. Um, and I, per se, I don't, I try to see it from his point of view, um, while also looking at it from my point of view. And I do agree with you, Richard, in terms of, he is too over loyal, um to a fault. He is too loyal to a fault, where he gives them almost too much of a chance. Too much of a chance. And I think that's kind of, I think it's kind of hurting him a little bit. At the same time, and I've said this before, because I think, to me, it's the only thing that seems to make the most sense for doing what he does in terms of being over loyal, is that you give that player so much of a chance, so much of a backing, that when it does come time where he has basically decided this player has failed me, and this player cannot do what I need them to do, and I need to take them out. I think when you do get to that point, no one can really argue, and no one can really take it in terms of in the dressing room, and the players and the squad. Nobody can take it against the manager and be like, the manager is a dickhead, or the manager is an asshole. I don't agree with how he treated you. I don't agree with him taking you out of the starting lineup. I don't think there can be a single player in there that can say that about him when it comes to that time, because he's backed the players so much, and given the players so many opportunities and chances to turn it around for themselves, that I think it's like, it's physically impossible to do that. I think if you do it to Marcus Rashford at some point, I really don't think there could be one single player in that dressing room that can go to Marcus Rashford and be like, oh, what the manager did, dropping you out of the starting 11 isn't right. Like, that's fucked up. He's a dickhead for doing it. I don't think there's one player that can do that. Because I think he's given Rashford more backing than most managers would, and he's given Rashford more opportunities than most managers, majority of the managers would. So I think, or I would like to hope, or whatever, that's the reason why he does it. That one, he tries to give them show a little bit more loyalty, tries to give them a little bit more chances, but when it doesn't work and he finally makes that decision, he's in the right to say, listen, you're going to the bench and you're going to be there for quite some time. And I think we're seeing that with Anthony. I think he's given Anthony, he was there with Anthony. Now I think Anthony is a little bit more of a frustrating player because Anthony does get very, um, he does get very animated. He does seem sort of the aggressive type, so I do see a lot more, disagreements with Ten Hag. Probably maybe even flare ups with Ten Hag. So I think maybe his leash was a little bit shorter in that end, but I mean we're seeing that with Anthony right now. Anthony's barely featuring. He's not even playing. Um, and he's lost that aspect, and I expect to see Anthony continue in this role for quite some time, unless, God forbid, Garnacho or Diallo get injured, or even a Marcus Rashford gets injured, and then obviously we're gonna see Anthony probably feature a little bit more. But as long as all four are healthy, I think we're gonna see Anthony continue in this sort of not playing, or not featuring quite a lot role, for quite some time. And I say that because I know, because he did it to Lisandro Martinez. Eric Ten Hag did this to Lisandro Martinez at Ajax. Um, and Lisandro Martinez did not really play. I don't think he started for months and months and months until um somebody at center back got injured at Ajax, and then he played Martinez there, and Martinez did well, and then he continued with Martinez from there on out. Um, so I expect to see this. Now I'm waiting to see when or if he's gonna do it with Marcus Rashford. I was having a conversation with my father the other day, and we lost volume. We lost volume. Are we back? Um, is it back now? All right, we're back. We're back. Yeah, sorry about that. So I was having a conversation with my father about, the how he can do that to Anthony, but he's reluctant to do it to Marcus Rashford so far. And I think it's some of the things that we talked about previously in terms of the fact of that, maybe the personalities are a little different. Anthony seems to respond to, getting a kick up his ass. I think Marcus Rashford is not that type of player. Um, so there is something, I think, for example, Marcus Rashford not being in the England squad, I think it hurt Marcus Rashford a lot more than it did to motivate Marcus Rashford to get back in the England squad. I actually think it bring Marcus Rashford down instead of lighting a fire under his ass and trying to get him to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I think it actually bring him down. Um so I think there's that aspect of a concern of, well, when you do make this decision and you do actually bench Marcus Rashford like he's benched Anthony, there is probably a major concern that it's not going to get better for Rashford. It's probably only going to get worse. It's probably only going to hurt him, and bring him down further. I don't think it's going to give him a kick up the ass to try, and it's going to help him turn things around. So I think there's that aspect. But there was another aspect that we touched on, and I think it's the more cynical aspect, in which we were saying, I actually said it to him, and I was saying that it could be that there is something in Marcus Rashford's contract. We have to remember that that contract extension was given to him by Richard Arnold, and co before Ineos came in. Who knows what's in that contract? I mean, there was talks at the time of Rashford leaving for PSG. The club were obviously desperate. They wanted to keep Marcus Rashford. Who knows what was going on at the negotiation table? they could have put, and from the deals that we've done in the past in transfers, I wouldn't put it past these idiots to put something in Marcus Rashford's contract that if he does not play, we are giving him a ridiculous amount of money for not playing, or for not playing a certain amount of minutes per match, or whatever it is. And I'm starting to kind of lean that way a little bit, only because I just don't see how you can do it to Anthony and you can't do it to Rashford. Um, and I guess we'll see, because I think, if we continue, if Rashford has the season like he did last season, and we end up doing a whole nother season with Rashford continuing to start and not being dropped, and his improvements and performances haven't improved, then I'm really gonna start going down that path of there's got to be something in his fucking contract that they put in there that Ineos and everybody that's associated with Ineos and even Ten Hag are looking at this like, well, we need him to come good. We need him to perform, and we need to keep playing him, because it doesn't make sense for us not to play him. We know Ineos are trying to get the financials on their wraps. If you take a player like Marcus Rashford, who's on 350,000 a week, plus who knows what kind of clauses he's got in there, and you're not playing him, it's really a waste of fucking money. We're just pissing money away. So I think maybe in their best interest, they're trying to get him, and they're hoping that he comes back to form, so that we're at least getting our money's worth for a player that's very, very expensive and performing poorly. But yeah, a lot of these things are wait and see. We gotta, just go with it as it goes. We just gotta go with the win. So, Axe was saying he'll stop watching if Southgate comes in. I don't think we have to worry about that. Then Southgate is, I don't think Southgate's gonna come anywhere near us. I think they're well aware of the backlash that they would receive if they bring Gareth Southgate anywhere near Manchester United. Grace saying City got rid of Cancelo after falling out with Pep, and Cancelo performed for City. Nobody questioned him. We get rid of Scott McNowhere to be seen in midfield, McTominay, and people have a meltdown. Yeah, that's the reactionary side, and that's what I'm saying. Like that. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Grace, because that was actually pissing me off as well. Now I know there are some people that they liked McTominay in terms of like they wanted him to stay at the club. My position. I'm not gonna disrespect him in a ill manner, but I was okay with him being sold, and I said numerous times that I would move him on. And that's where I sat, and I'm still with it. And after the Liverpool match, I go online, and all I see is a bunch of people crying and saying we really sold Scott McTominay, when Scott McTominay was not going to solve any of the problems that for the reason why we lost the match against Liverpool. I was like, I don't understand. Even putting McTominay in that midfield, we know McTominay doesn't play well in that position. McTominay did well last season playing where Bruno plays, in and around the box. And we didn't lose solely because Bruno Fernandes wasn't in and around the box. We had issues all over the place. So that was annoying reactionary thing too, like that I seen that they're like people saying we really sold Scott McTominay. I was like, but Scott McTominay was not gonna save us in that match. We lost 3-0 at home. Scott McTominay is not was not gonna be the savior of losing losing 3-0 at home to Liverpool. So Axe saying, look, I saw a comment by Rio Ferdinand when Casse was at right mid. He did simple tasks playing alongside two brilliant players. Now he has to go do a lot of things. He isn't suitable for. Rio pointed out this. Eric Ten Hag, CDM has to do a lot. Neves or De Jong may suit well the requirements. Casemiro did it almost completely for the first season, but enthusiasm and desire cannot transform a tree into a chair. Well, that's what I was kind of saying at some point, is that that's why he might actually have to go to a double pivot, because it does seem like the CDM does have to do a lot, and it is a big ask with the way that we are playing. I mean, Bruno is floating around up top, so really you have two in the midfield, and then Mainu is kind of like a box to box, and it's a lot of ground to cover. And then Casemiro's back there basically playing as a third defender, um, but he has no legs. Um, so it seems pretty imbalanced to me right now. It seems pretty imbalanced. So I don't I I do feel like that is a problem. Now maybe Ugarte comes in and just he does the job and we go, well, oh shit, it really just was Casemiro. Is too old, or his legs are too gone, and it's fine. We could have the one CDM back there, let Mano do his thing and let Bruno do his thing, and it's fine. Or Ugarte could come in and we can have similar problems or the same problems, and then I think that's when we have to think about, well, maybe this one CDM doing all of those tasks and doing all of those jobs, like you used to have Frankie De Jong doing, is not working at Manchester United with the players you have or in the Premier League. So you're gonna have to switch it up to a double pivot. Richard saying, if that was me in any job, I would be thinking I'm going to do more so as I can't be ignored. Yeah, and there are some people that are like that, Richard. There are people, and this is what it is. This is the world. This is life. There's lots of people that would think the same way as you, and there's lots of people that they take it the opposite way. And it doesn't. We hear this a lot, especially nowadays. But we used to hear it a lot. Some players they need an arm around the shoulder. Some players they need to get smacked in the face. It's just different types of people. And that's why also when you're recruiting, player profile is very, very important, because the more that you have where the team balances out, I mean, even teammates having other teammates back, their personalities could be slightly different, but sometimes you need a bit of a yin and a yang. Sometimes you need a player in there that maybe their lifestyles are a little bit different, but there's a respect amongst these two players that, okay, they're different, they have maybe a different personality, a different attitude, but they actually bounce off of each other. It's like a yin and a yang. Like they need, one guy might be a little, how I see it. It's like York and Cole. That's what I think we're missing in a lot of areas. I think we're missing a kind of a York and a Cole connection, where they were like a yin and a yang. They were opposites in terms of personality, but them being together formed this, I don't know, it was like they just bounced off of each other. Like it was like, it was just like a match made in heaven. And I think we're missing that in certain areas. I think we need more of that. And I don't know who could be that for Marcus Rashford. I get this feeling, and I don't know why, because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But obviously, you could see, his face when he's playing. He's not enjoying his football. But I just feel like I don't know why. I have nothing to back. There's nothing for me to back this up with. It's just when I see it, I get this feeling that he looks a little bit alone. Like he looks like he doesn't gel 100% too much with a lot of the players there. Like there's not and not saying that, like, they don't respect each other or whatever. There's just not that connection. There's just not that connection with a lot of the players there. Like I feel like for me, if I was there, me and Lisandro Martinez would be best friends. We would be best friends. I would love Lisandro Martinez. I would be best friends with Lisandro Martinez. I'd be with Lisandro Martinez everywhere we go. I still think Lisandro Martinez personality compared to my personality very, very different. but I would just love. I'd be like, we're doing everything, and I'm hanging out with you because I think you can help me in a positive way, and I can show you some things as well. So somebody like that, because I think he has one of the best mentalities and attitudes, and I would want to be around that. Maybe I'll learn a thing or two. Maybe it'll rub off on me. Um, you know. So I think we're missing that. Did you see my Southgate message? I think I did. I don't know. What'd you say? Send it again, Grace. Uh, Axe saying I am the emotional kind of employee. I need feedback and encouragement, even with constructive feedback. Silence, ignorance, and dragging me back kill my motivation. And exactly, there you go. See, everybody's different. Everybody is different, and everybody responds to different things. But that's what a good man manager, I guess, or at least people that are good at their jobs, in terms of leading. If you're a leader or if you're in a position of power to lead, you need to know that. You need to be able to identify that. You need to be able to know that this player is not going to respond well to this, and this player is not going to respond well to this, and then also you have to do it as an entire group as well while you have all those individuals. So Smiling, Dwight, and Andy were almost telepathic, and that's what I'm saying. And then, but they were, to a certain extent. I mean, their personalities, they were almost two very different people, but yet, um, they clicked unimaginably. And if it wasn't if it wasn't for Dwight, I mean, Andy was kind of he was kind of struggling. He had some things going on off the pitch as well. And Dwight York came in. And at first, Andy was a little worried about that, but it turned into something that was actually probably the best thing that could have happened to Andy. Because it turned into something that just he actually needed, and he didn't know that he needed that per se, and he wasn't expecting it, but it happened. So yeah, it's funny how life works sometimes. Grace said that Southgate should retire and run a Waste Coast rental shop. He wouldn't get any sales, Grace. He'd be out of business. Who's going to buy a Waste Coast at a rental shop from Gareth Southgate? He'd be out of business. He would be out of business. Nobody's going to buy that. Listen, we kind of did the freestyle part in the beginning. Let's get on. There's a couple topics I want to get through. And we'll probably go in and out of things. He wears them. I know he wears them, so he's gonna sell them to himself, I guess. Because I don't know who's going. I don't know who's going to Gareth Southgate's shop to buy waistcoats from him. Especially in today's day and age, you can just buy them on the internet. Um, that would be funny though. That would be funny if he just opened up a waistcoat shop. I think he should do what Andre Villas-Boas did. I think Gareth Southgate should like disappear from football completely, go get involved in some other things. I think it was like horse racing and car racing or something like that. Just completely disappear, and then maybe like 6 7 years down the line, come back and literally just run a football club. um Mohammed is here saying he gaslights us every press conference. You saying Ten Hag gaslights the fans every press conference? I mean, I don't know. I'm not here for gaslighting. Do you know gaslighting means that he's saying it's our fault? Mohammed, are you aware of that? If you're saying Ten Hag gaslights us as the fan base every press conference, I just want you to be aware that gaslighting means that he's talking to us, and while it's his fault, he's saying that it's actually our fault that Manchester United is the way Manchester United is. I just want you to understand that. And you say he catfished us and he's a con artist. Why? Because he's not playing the football that was played at Ajax? I assume that's the reason why you're saying that, because I've seen a couple of the people say that. I mean, you can explain yourself, if you want. Go ahead. But I'm assuming you're saying Ten Hag has catfished us and he's a con artist because he's not playing the football that was played at Ajax. Is that correct? Because I have answers for this. And number one would be that nobody ever said that he was going to play the Ajax style of football at Manchester United. He spent 620 million and still no style of play. He's got a style of play. It's there. The execution is not being done properly. And 620 million, I don't give a shit about how much money we spent. It doesn't really matter. We can spend another 620 million. Chelsea spent over $1 billion. Where is their style of play? Then why did we get him for? Because he was a good manager doing good things. But Manchester United is a mess. I have no standards. You have ridiculous standards, my friend. I'm sorry, but I mean, no manager has done good at Manchester United. There has not been a single manager. So I don't understand what standards you're holding for him. There's things that were going on beyond the manager that are out of his control. We just got a new hierarchy, right? We just got a brand new hierarchy. This is the proper structure we've been asking for, yeah? They just got in. This is going to be their first season. So what do you want them to do? Work magic? There's still another. It's not gaslighting. You don't even know what gaslighting means, guy. You don't even know what gaslighting means. You've heard people say that on the internet, and now you're using that word like it means something. You have no clue what gaslighting means. I'm not gaslighting you. We're having a conversation. Grace, it's okay. It's okay, Grace. Don't worry about it. We're having a conversation here. Right? Because I've been waiting for somebody like Muhammad to come in here, because it gives a good perspective. There's people like Muhammad out there, right? And they're fine. They're allowed to have their own opinion. I clearly have an opposite opinion of Muhammad, but I've been waiting for one of these guys to come in here so we can actually have a full-on discussion, because this is what this shit is supposed to be about. So I'm the one who doesn't. I do have standards. I know you just joined here. And you just listened to me, and you've seen the thumbnail, which you're not happy about because I'm defending Erik Ten Hag, from people that I think talk absolute shit in the media. And, you know, I want Erik Ten Hag to turn things around and succeed. I'm not going to be asking for the manager's head, because we have a whole season in front of us, and I'd like to see where things go. But I do have standards. You know, I have standards. I've been talking about standards for as long as I started this channel. And, you know, I don't think, you know, you can't really say I don't have standards. Ten Hag is the modern day Neanderthal. Now, see, that's a comment that I can't respect, Muhammad. I can't respect that. Listen, if you don't like, right? If you don't like Erik Ten Hag, that's one thing. If you don't think Erik Ten Hag is good as a manager, that's one thing. But if you can't properly put into sentences or in an explanation as to why, for your reasons, and you're going to sit here and call him a Neanderthal, which I can guarantee you he's not. He's smarter than you, and he's smarter than me, and he's smarter than probably everybody else, because he is an actual manager. He has his licenses. He's done good things at Ajax, and he's won trophies at every single club that he's managed. And he and you have to go to resorting to calling him an egg in a suit. Those are things that I can't take seriously from people, and I can't, I just can't have a conversation with you if that's what you're gonna do. Um, you know, that's childish shit to do. That's childish shit. I don't know. Maybe you're a child. Maybe you're 12. Maybe you're 14. Um, I don't know, but I'm gonna move on from this conversation now. I'm gonna go back to my lovely community. Thank you for being here, Mohammed. I'm going to continue with the rest of the show. Um, Thank you very much. So, yeah, backing Ten Hag in 2024. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will be backing Eric Ten Hag in 2024. So, anyway, back to this as we are here. So part of the news that came out was Eric Ten Hag's game model has to start impressing. Um, Eric Ten Hag's game model has to start impressing Manchester United's Ineos-led football department, or he is in danger of being removed. With the manager's style of play so far this season viewed as underwhelming. And yeah, I think that's probably clearly obvious. There was discussion a lot about the game model last at the end of last season with Dan Ashworth, and Dan Ashworth did actually come out talking about Dan Ashworth did come out talking about the game model. Eric Ten Hag also talked about his game model. And I think that's quite obvious. There's this talk about the game model. I think it's more pressed on results. We need results. We need results. Results are more important. Game model and all this whatever. Again, like I said, I think that'll come on the back end of results. I think if we catch a form of results and we get some form and we get some momentum, I think the rest will follow. But again, this is more of just an international break story. I mean, I'm not too concerned about that. I think once we start getting, do you watch Goldfish? I used to. I watch him here from here and from I watch him here and there. I watch a couple other channels too. I don't just watch Goldbridge either. I watch a couple channels. I like to get a consensus of what is being said in and around the Manchester United fan base around pretty much the world. So I do listen to quite a couple channels when I do get a chance. But yes. I don't watch Mark Goldbridge as much as I used to. I used to watch a lot of his episodes. Now I don't really have time for all that. But when I do get a chance, I do listen to a show here and there. Yes. Now something that Teddy Sheringham, and the reason why we have the poll, and the poll is actually a lot more split than I thought it would be. I can't even see the poll. How many people voted in the poll? 16 votes. Not bad. Teddy Sheringham on Eric Ten Hag. They asked him if he thinks that he will be the manager still at the end of the season, and Teddy Sheringham has gone on to say no. He said, "I don't think he'll be. I think he'll be gone by Christmas." So, vote of confidence from Teddy Sheringham. Definitely not getting it. Ten Hag definitely is not getting it, and yeah. Again, another ex-player. I just feel like there's no need to say this. I don't understand. Why he has to come out and say something like this. I just don't think there's no need for it right now. But Teddy was always kind of a bitter person at times. So I don't know what his thing is. I guess maybe he's just being truthful and honest, but I just don't think there's any need for any of this. Again, with 3 matches into the season, we won one. The first one we should have won. We fucked that up, and the third one we were completely outplayed, and we weren't ready, and we're not ready to, and also I think Ten Hag could have set up the team differently in that Liverpool match. I think that was the major mistake. I don't think we're ready to play toe to toe with these teams, unfortunately, as much as we want to see it. Um, I don't think we can play a high pressing, high line against an Arsenal, against the Liverpool, against the Manchester City. I don't think we're ready to do that. And unfortunately, he tried to do that against Liverpool, and we made the mistakes and we got punished. I don't think we're ready for that. Um, react to Rants and Bant's Liverpool match reaction. I actually didn't watch it, and I'm gonna tell you why. I didn't watch it because I stopped watching him quite some time ago because I found his content to be very boring. Um, he never seems to be happy with absolutely anybody at all. And he never seems to be supportive of anybody at all. And it's boring to me. I used to watch him, but it's just like, he complained about one person, and then the other guy came in and he complained about him immediately. It's a very, while he can be very comical at times, and I give him that. Sometimes it's too negative for me. Sometimes it's just too negative for me, and so I don't really watch this stuff anymore, to be quite honest with you, Mohammed. But yeah. Then there was this update because we're going through topics. Or Saeed, yeah, he's all right too. But I seen him on the other channel the other day, so I think Saeed's okay. But Saeed gets a little over compliment. It's okay. He could talk about the other channels. It's all right, Grace. I know it is. We're all right. It's not toxic positivity, dude. It's not toxic positivity. I choose to try and be positive. I choose to try and be positive. It's not toxic positivity. You keep using these phrases. I would implore you, please, Mohammed, because you said you're 19, right? I'm about 11 years older than you, Mohammed. I implore you, please. I'm just requesting you to react to a vid. I get that, but we're not going to do that right now. We're doing a new show, and I haven't seen it, and I don't have time to do this. So I apologize, but I'm not going to do that right now. Maybe I'll do one on the next one if you come back. If you come back, listen. It's not toxic positivity, Mohammed. Please, I implore you to. I don't know who you're watching. I don't know who you're listening to, right? But you're using words like gaslighting and toxic positivity. I would advise you to look at some other people in terms of role models, because I don't know where you're picking that stuff up, but number one, you're using it very wrongly. And yeah, you need to figure out your path. You're only 19 though. You'll get there. Don't worry about it. I was there too. Um, but yeah, just you got to stop using those clickbait headlines, or not clickbait, whatever you want to call them. Toxic positivity and gaslighting. We're in the real world. I'm not doing any of those things. But we're gonna continue on with the show because I let this run really long and I got things to do, but I'm gonna get through it. So there was an update from Chris Wheeler because there was talk that Casemiro was gonna go on loan to Turkish team. I think it was Galatasaray or something. That was dismissed as nonsense. And then it came out from Casemiro, or Camp of Casemiro or somebody, basically saying Casemiro is determined to fight for his place at Manchester United and will reject any approach. So Casemiro, obviously want to stay. I think there was something that followed up on that, basically pretty much saying that, he will stay at Manchester United. He wants to fight for his place as Manchester United. As long as Erik Ten Hag wants him there, then he will stay, and he's more than happy to stay. If it comes to the day that Manchester United, or Erik Ten Hag doesn't want him, then he will leave. So Casemiro not quitting on us yet, and as bad as his performance against Liverpool was, we do need Casemiro here. We can definitely still use Casemiro, and Casemiro we need him to perform better and turn it around. So I encourage the fact that he's determined to fight for his place, and if that means it's going to up his performances, then so be it. We'd have a good update on Lenny Yoro, which I know who we are all excited to see. Lenny Yoro is no longer needing to use crutches, represents a positive step in his return to action, and the centre back has been in the gym at Carrington as he works with United's physio team to prepare him to return to full fitness. So a good little minor but good update on Lenny Yoro. And Lenny Yoro, uh, you know, we need him back for the depth as well. I actually, I'm excited to see what he can do for us as well. And the more options that we have at center back, the better. Obviously, we spent a good amount of money on him. He's very hyped up. So, the more the merrier, the more the merrier. For sure. So I just wanted to give you that. Then we had kind of some transfer updates. I know the window just closed, but we're getting a bit of transfer news, so I thought we could go through this. One came from Fabrizio Romano, basically saying Manchester United had a conversation to understand the situation of Jonathan Tah, but De Ligt was the top target, and although they were informed on the situation, let's see what happens next summer. So we were kind of looking at Jonathan Tah. Obviously, De Ligt was our top target, and we did get De Ligt, so that's good. But Fabrizio Romano here alluding to the fact that maybe there's a possibility that in the next window, which is probably in the summer, because it's not likely looking like it's going to be something in January, that Manchester United might be willing to go back in for Jonathan Tah. And that would probably come on the back of the fact that we are probably most likely going to look to move on. Definitely Victor Lindelof. I expect Johnny Evans to probably retire, and possibly Maguire might also be sold. I wouldn't put it against if Maguire ends up staying for another season, although I don't know when his contract is over. But yeah, I think that I think we're gonna have to get another one or two center backs. So something to keep your eye on and just in the back of your mind. Later on down into next year. Along with that, we did get this that came from Give Me Sports, so take it with a little bit less credibleness than maybe a Fabrizio or something. That said, Manchester United are lining up new midfield signings for 2025 as they are looking to continue their squad overhaul over the course of the next two transfer windows, which kind of fits along the lines of what we were saying in terms of the fact of that we still need another two transfer windows to completely overhaul the squad, complete this rebuild, and transform the team into what we are saying that we should be, or where we should be. Again, I go with the sentiments of what, Ralph Rangnick said about 3 windows. If you do it efficiently, I think that's a possible. I think it's, I think you can do it. I think it's possible to do it. I think definitely if you do it properly and efficiently, I think it's something that's achievable for sure. And this, little update seems to go with that. Now the one that goes hand in hand with this is that this is from Dean Jones Soccer, which is Give Me Sports, so it's following up on what they said. They are looking to secure replacements for Casemiro and Christian Eriksen, being viewed as the priority behind the scenes. Plans have been put in place to secure long-term replacements in 2025, which actually fits the bill for the way Ineos are operating. If you look at the players that we bring in this summer, and you look at Christian Eriksen and you look at Casemiro, they are 2 old players. And their replacements should be players that are going to be around, and have talent, of course, and ability, but are going to be around for the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus years to continue developing with the rest of this kind of younger squad that we're going with right now. So yeah, 100%. And then I guess the last and final update, and then we'll kind of go back to free for all and talk about whatever we got to talk about. Give Me Sport also saying that Dan Ashworth has been challenged to bring in youthful alternatives instead of falling into the same trap as previous years when experienced trophy winners coming into the final years of their career were targeted. And I think that's important because it does, again, fit with what we have gone with so far under Ineos's first summer window. The targets that we bring in, we haven't gotten anybody that is per se a Casemiro who won it all, or a Rafael Varane who won it all at Real Madrid. And they came to Manchester United, and while I think Varane, I liked him very much, and I think he did very well, and I think Casemiro's first season was very good, and obviously it's been going a little bit downhill. We gave them very expensive wages. They were towards the end of their careers, and it was not really money well spent. If you're going to spend the money that you spend on Casemiro and the money you spend on Varane, you can just get younger players for the same amount of money, and you will make the money back, hopefully, or you will retain value at least. You won't lose so much money on these players, especially if they're 21, 22, 23. You know what I mean? They're at the club for 3 seasons. It doesn't work out. You can still resell them. They'll be 26, 25, or 24 years old. You get players like a Casemiro or Varane. They're a little bit towards the end of their career. There's not too much, resale value. There's not. They get a little bit more injured. They get, so there's things that we need to. There's things that are clicking here. So I think, very, very important stuff in terms of just, going along with this. There is a big there's a big disagreement going on in here. Ten Hag in and Ten Hag out. Grace thinks this is Maguire's last season. His contract is up at the end of this season. Is it? Do we have an option to extend it by a year though? Because we usually have that in there. I don't know. Lindelof and Maguire will go next season, and I think we will go for Branthwaite again. We'll probably go for Branthwaite again, Grace, especially if Everton, if Everton get relegated, we'll definitely be in there for Branthwaite for sure. 100%. Sadiq is in here. Sadiq, good to see you, buddy. I think I missed. He said, "I've been doing good. I've been doing good, Sadiq. You said you think we need to give Erik Ten Hag more time to get his players to improve their fitness on the pitch. We need a lot of things to happen, Sadiq. This is the thing that I'm saying. Like, it's not. I think the problems at Manchester United in terms of the overall structure, it was never just Erik Ten Hag. I'm pretty sure Sir Jim Ratcliffe said the same thing. Like, the environment for the managers to succeed was not good. It was never good. That's why every manager failed up to Ten Hag. And Ten Hag is in the midst of, I mean, he's half afloat, half drowning right now. I mean, the guy has 2 trophies in 2 years. The league position obviously wasn't a good finish last season. Now, of course, there were injuries, and I don't give a crap who you are, and I don't care what team you are. If you have the extent of injuries that we had, and you give that to any team, they're not finishing in the top 4. I don't care who you are. You're not finishing in the top 4. It's impossible. Liverpool were clear examples of that 2 seasons ago. When they finished outside the top 4 and they had to play Europa League. They suffered something similar that season to what we suffered, although I think ours was way worse. Everybody wants to overlook that and they want to overgloss that. You know, it doesn't make sense. Really. Mohammed, there's no way that you are a Manchester United fan. If you're saying that you hope that Sancho scores against us, Eric Ten Hag and our fan base deserve it. I don't understand that mentality. I don't understand that thought process. Why would you want Jadon Sancho, who is a player that had disrespected this club on numerous occasions? Forget the rift between Eric Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. He's disrespected the club itself and the fans on numerous occasions, and you want Jadon Sancho to score a goal against us because you dislike or you hate Eric Ten Hag that much, and you say that Eric Ten Hag and our fan base deserve it. We don't deserve any of that. I don't understand that thought process. Why how can you be a Manchester United fan and say that? That doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. I don't get it. Like, you don't have to like Ten Hag. You don't have to think he's a good manager. But to make a statement like that and have that thought process and then call yourself a Manchester United fan doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Axe is saying, how long has Eric Ten Hag re-signed with United? I mean, how is he supposed to stay within? He is signed till 2026, I believe. Um, so the contract would end in the summer of 2026. So they gave him a 2-year contract extension. They didn't give him a new contract. It was a contract extension on his previously already agreed contract that he got. So yeah, he has up until then. Um I'm tired. I mean, okay, you can hate him. Can I kick him out? Uh Listen, I don't want to I mean, if he's not being if he's not being abusive towards people, then we don't have to kick him out, Grace. It's all right. It's okay if people have different opinions. I'm okay with that. I don't want to silence anybody. If he's not, if he's if but if he's being abusive towards people, that's a different story. But listen, I know he's being a little bit annoying. Um, I know he's being a little bit annoying, but I do kind of I do kind of like that he's giving this side, because this is people. Muhammad is somebody on Twitter. He is the people you see on football Twitter. Like, he is them. He is literally writing the same exact things that I see when I log in to X. And I want him in here because I want to try and have a conversation with one of these guys. But now, if he starts being abusive to people, that's a different story. I don't believe in silencing people for having a different opinion, even if the opinion might be kind of stupid in certain aspects or it's kind of trollish. But as long as he's not abusing people in our community, I think we should let him stay here for now. For now, but we will see. We will see. Keep him here. I'm not here to silence people. People have the right to say what they want as long as it doesn't overstep something. Um, Simon, I'm gonna butcher your last name, so I'm really sorry. Jawashe says the midfield has been the problem since before Fergie left. We haven't had one, and I'm actually glad you said that because I said that early in the show, and you probably weren't here for that. So, but again, the most concerning thing to me right now, and I think the biggest problem that our squad faces right now, is that midfield. I think that midfield is not that midfield is not it's a mess. It's a mess, and it needs to be sorted. It's not operating properly. No, you're not banned, Mohammed. Relax. You're not banned. You're here. You're here. You're here. But you can't. But see, you're not helping your case, Mohammed, because you're calling him Ten Potter a bald fraud. Why do you need to speak like that? Why do you feel the need to speak like that? You don't need to say things like that, Mohammed. You can just say, I don't like Eric Ten Hag for this and this reason. But give an actual reason. Why is he a bold fraud? Like, you just keep saying these things. You just keep saying you keep saying like these shocking terms like bold fraud and gaslighting and toxic positivity. Fully explain yourself. Ten Hag, I'm not Harry Potter. You're Voldemort. I mean, all right. If you want to be serious, you can put serious comments and we'll have a conversation. Otherwise, you can just continue to troll by yourself at this point. But yes, as Simon was saying, the midfield has been the problem. It has been. I mean, there's been so many discussions throughout the years since Fergie left. I don't know how many times we go through summer transfer windows, we go through seasons, we get these players in, and the discussion has always come back to the midfield at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it always comes back to the midfield, and that's because the midfield is the engine room of any team. Without a proper midfield, your team is going nowhere, and you're not doing anything. And I think, from what we're seeing, and somebody, if you can please remind me, what was the balance between the midfield that we had in Eric Ten Hag's first season to the midfield we currently have? Because I know we had Fred. Pogba was gone. I feel like we just had a couple more players. Obviously, McTominay was still there. We got Ericsson. Ericsson was still kind of fresh. He just came off playing very good football from Brentford. But yes, somehow it seems like we always, Manchester United, over these past 11 years, have come into a spot that the midfield seems to be a problem. We have never actually gotten the midfield right after Ferguson. There was times where we patched it, where it was okay for a season or two, but we never fixed it long term. And I think actually this is why this is actually very important, because if they do what they're saying they're trying to do and looking to do, those two updates that we just had is very, very important, because youthful alternatives so that we have something to build on, and we need this. We need to secure long-term replacements. I mean, Casemiro was not a long-term replacement. Christian Eriksen was not a long-term replacement. And we need that. And I think that's the only way we're actually going to fix it. So, yeah, for sure. Daniel's in here. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you, buddy. And Ray's in here as well. Grace is saying, if you had to pick 5 positions we had to strengthen at the start of the summer, are you happy with the positions we brought in, or was there a position we needed more? I think, and very good question, Grace. I think, 5 positions. Well, we got a striker. We got a striker. We got a center mid. We got 2 center backs, which I think we needed. And we got a right back, which I think we also needed. I think the only thing that I'm not happy about, Grace, because I think the positions they identified, and the positions that they brought the players in, I think we needed those players in, and I think they did a good job of getting the type of player that they got in for the positions that we needed. The one thing that I'm not happy about, because I do understand at the same time that we are we are in a position of kind of restriction. We can't just go and spend 300 million, unfortunately, because we've spent the money so poorly over the past previous years that we are now in a position where it's getting a little bit tighter for us. Um, I would have liked them to get another center midfielder in. That's the only position or only aspect that I'm not 100% ecstatic about because I think we're lacking there. I really do. I'm gonna keep saying it all season because I really do think it's a big problem. Um, I think everything that they got, all the positions they addressed, I think was great. I would have went for one more CM somehow, some way, a loan, a free agent, somebody. I would have went for that, and I think in terms of a first window for Ineos, I think it's you probably couldn't have done it that much better. But there are things that maybe, like, yeah, I would have liked them to go get João Neves. They didn't get João Neves. I would have preferred if they got João Neves. Ugarte is good as well, though. I still think they're two kind of different players in terms of what they have to offer, but something like that along those lines, for sure. Ray saying he thinks the scoring is the biggest problem. We don't score enough goals. We don't. That is an issue that we need to figure out. And at one point, it used to be the narrative was Manchester United don't create enough chances for our striker, and which is why we don't score goals. But from what I've seen as of recently, we create a good couple of chances. We're not clinical, and I don't know why we can't be clinical. It seems to come and go sometimes. But I even on Xerxes, and I'm not throwing hate on Xerxes because he's a young guy, and he's gonna need some time to develop. And with the younger players, you do get this sort of inconsistency. It's it happens to a lot of young players. Very very rare that you get a player at the age of 21 who is always 110% consistent. Um, and that I think that he's already had a lot of multiple good chances. I mean, he had two big chances against Liverpool. We're gonna say he should have scored both, at least one. He obviously didn't score neither. But I think from over the course of the 3 games that we've played so far, I think we've created some very, very good chances. We just cannot put the ball in the back of the net. Now, I don't know if this is because this is an early season thing, or whatever. But even last season, I think, when people were saying we don't create enough chances, I didn't even see it in that aspect, really. I saw more of we create chances, but we're not putting the ball into the net. And we have to make sure that we don't go through that again this season. I don't know, what they have to do to figure out extra shooting drills and practice or something. I'm kind of praying since Ruud van Nistelrooy was such a good finisher of the ball that he's gonna get these guys to be able to put the ball into the back of the net. I don't know. Just because Van Nistelrooy was a good finisher doesn't mean that he's going to be able to translate that in terms of coaching. It's two different things. But you would like to think that he is going to, make some type of improvement. We have been live for quite some time, which is very, very good. We're probably going to end it in a couple of minutes shortly. I'm going to get through the rest of what you guys are saying. Ray saying, when you score, you win games. We're not scoring, and we all focusing on one or two mistakes because we concede. Axe saying, sincerely, since Scholes left, we kind of lost it. Even Sir Alex Ferguson asked him to come back from retirement. I mean, there's no. You don't even see players like Scholes anymore. There's no Scholes. You know what I mean? There's no more Scholes. You don't see players like Paul Scholes any longer. The game has changed with that as well. He was one of the best players ever. The comparisons and expectations are killing new sentiment. I mean, but we don't need to compare it to Scholes. If anybody's comparing to Scholes, I think they're out of their damn mind. Because you're never gonna see a Scholes again. The game isn't played like that anymore. I don't know. You see it. You see Xavi's? Do you see Iniestas? Football has moved on to a different kind of style. And the midfielders aren't the same. What we need, and the expectation is that we need the midfield to gel and work as a unit and be efficient and work properly. Um, Uh, X telling me to stay hydrated. I am. I got that water bottle. I can't take that thing everywhere with me. Grace is saying next summer left back, left center back, central midfielder, and a winger. And I think I'm right there with you, Grace. I think absolutely. Um I think those are obviously we have more places that we need to improve on. I don't think I'm not trying to say whatever Ineos did. That's it. It's perfect. We're ready to go, and now we should be good. No, I'm saying that as a first transfer window, I think the positions we identified, I think they were important positions. They needed to be identified and dealt with. I think they dealt with them, and now we move on to phase two, which would be the next window. And I would like to hope maybe we can do one deal. um, I would be happy with one deal in January. If we could do one deal in January and get a player in a position that we need, whether that would be the center and midfield. If it depends what's going on with the left back situation at the time in January. If it's a left back or if a winger comes available um, during the middle of January, if we could do a deal like that, then even if it's just one deal in January, I would be happy with that. Maybe a couple outs, if we could afford it, or if something pops up, 100%. Yeah, but I'm there with you, Grace. I think next summer, definitely, left back. I think, as much as I like Luke Shaw, and I think he's a good player, that his injury record is really becoming a problem. I mean, it is a problem already. But it's just becoming more and more of a problem because he's missing he's missing more and more matches, which is unfortunate because I think he's very good when he's available and he's allowed to get into his rhythm and his form. Um, but we can't have a player that's not available. It's just no good to us. So for sure the left back, and then 100% the center back. Because again, I expect Lindelof to go. I would expect Maguire to go. And I think Johnny Evans, I think this is going to be his last year, most likely. So, we're going to lose three center backs. Which is why I'm kind of thinking, unless Maguire's contract expires and we don't have a year extension, if we do have a year extension on the contract, I think Maguire might just stay. Because if we lose three center backs, maybe we promote one youth player for Johnny Evans. And then we would need, replacement for Lindelof. So we might be, I think they might get in another two center backs. That at that point they might be looking at a Ta and maybe a Branthwaite. Um, and again, we need a central midfielder and we need a winger. So, Ray saying, frustrating thing about Eric Ten Hag when he gets it right, is so beautiful, and when he gets it wrong is so ugly. Compare up Manchester City and Liverpool last week. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it is true, but this is part of the process. I mentioned it before. We are in the middle of, and I know we've gone through this before and it's been a bunch of bullshit, but I think this time is actually probably the closest we've ever gotten to the realest deal, in terms of an actual rebuild. I think from what you've seen, the way we have things set up now in terms of structure and even the window we just had. And it's gonna be the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, this aspect, this perspective is gonna be very I can't find the proper word for it, but it's just it's headbutting each other, because it's again, we have this brand new structure with a whole, we just changed the backroom staff and the hierarchy, the coaching staff. We're getting new personnel in all different positions. um and this is basically year one for all of them, except for Eric Ten Hag and some of the players. Um, and I just don't see, I still see that, like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Like, nobody is going to be willing to basically reset Eric Ten Hag's, you know, to go along with the new hierarchy. It's just not gonna happen. I think, and you know what? To be fair, I think a lot of the fans, they said we give him one more season to show us something. So I guess if he does show us improvement off of last season, um, then maybe he'll buy himself some more time as well, or whatever. But it is a bit of a problem there. Scholes is my idol in football. He could do it all. Yeah, yeah. I took up after him a little bit. When I moved into the center mid. Because I used to play winger. Um, and I took after him a little bit as well. I looked up to the way he played. Especially in the latter stages of his career. Because he didn't. He was just so good at reading the game. He didn't have to do too much movement, with the ball in his feet or positioning wise. He was just always, you know, pinging the passes, on point, division. There was nobody better than him. Skull, Grace Rabio on a 2+1 contract, 150K a week. I wouldn't be against it, but they don't seem they want to do it. So, um, I don't know. They seem to be okay with the options we have right now. In terms of midfield, I would argue that you know um maybe Ten Hag doesn't want Rabio either. But I'm thinking, if Ten Hag wants Rabio, but the rest of them at the club don't want to do it, I think then they're doing Ten Hag a disservice, because they're essentially shorthanding him in probably the most important area of the team on the pitch. Um, so you know, um, Branthwaite and a youth player, and we should be good. Yeah, yeah. Um, no, we're not gonna talk about that. It's done. It's done. He's gone. He ain't coming back. He's doing pretty good in the French league. So we've moved on from that. That whole discussion is out the window. That ship has sailed. That dream, or whatever. I guess for some, it was a dream because they wanted him back. It's done. It ain't. He's never gonna play again. I don't think he. Again, as I stated, I think in the beginning he was desperate, to come back, and I think probably after some time, I think he was not so desperate anymore. I think he's happy himself. So we don't need to talk about that. Just like how we're not going to talk about Jadon Sancho anymore. Even Anthony Martial, there's some talks. These players, they're not at the club anymore. They have moved on. They are not important to speak about, really. And yeah. Yeah, so we're not gonna waste our time to speak on them, really. Let me see if there's just anything that's popped up. So here's the thing. So you see how Ten Hag said that Ugarte, is gonna take him um a couple weeks to a month or whatever to be ready to go. And I think this is where there was a problem, in the way that Ten Hag says things and the way then it is then perceived. Because I think I've seen a lot of people saying at one point that, like when he said Ugarte is not going to be ready, like I think there was a lot of people that took it like he's not going to feature. He's not going to like play at all. Like he's not ready to go because he didn't have a preseason. Well, Manuel Ugarte is literally starting for Uruguay. So I don't know, like in terms of fitness, he can obviously play. I think he can play because he's starting for Uruguay. If he wasn't fit in fit wise, and he can't play like more than 60 minutes, then I don't think he starts for Uruguay. So he's starting for Uruguay. He's starting. Uruguay's playing a 4-2-3. He's playing in the holding DM spot which is what we need with Valverde and Rodriguez in front of him. So I think what Ten Hag was saying was not that he's not going to be like available to play, but that it's going to take him some time to get used to the system, his teammates, even the Premier League. I think he was probably trying to ease the pressure off of Ugarte as well, the expectations, because I assume he's aware of, like we said, the added extra pressure that we need him to come in and make an instant impact and be literally the best CDM ever, because we are struggling without one right now. So and actually Fabrizio put this out and says Manuel Ugarte starts for Uruguay tonight in his first official appearance of the new season. And he did quote Eric Ten Hag, said 1 week ago, Manu hasn't played in the season so far. He needs to build his fitness. It can take weeks, maybe months. So he did say fitness. I don't understand that from Ten Hag. That's something that I don't understand. Unless this is part of the plan that he's building his fitness in a match for Uruguay. I mean, let's see how much he plays. Maybe he only plays 60 minutes. Maybe he doesn't play the full 90. I don't know. I don't know. It's very. I mean, I really don't understand that from Eric Ten Hag. Like, I don't get it. So we get this player in that we need, and he's saying that it could take weeks, maybe months to build the fitness. But yet Uruguay is totally fine with him being in the starting lineup and starting immediately. I mean, I don't understand the angle of that. Unless he is really just trying to maybe he's trying to take the pressure off Ugarte. That's the only reason why I could see he would say something like that. That's the only reason why I could see something like that. And in other news, Lee Carsley is set to hand Harry Maguire a start in his first game in charge. Harry Maguire back in the England setup. I thought they were saying they're gonna give him the captaincy. Amad Diallo has played for the Ivory Coast. He played 70 minutes, had 4 key passes, 4 shots, 97% pass accuracy. So that's good. Morocco won 4-1. Mazawari had 90 minutes played, 1 key pass, 4 tackles, 1 clearance, 2 interceptions. So all players are doing pretty good. Obviously Delo scored a goal. Bruno assisted the other day for Portugal. So our players are doing pretty well on international right now. So that's always a positive. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. What are you guys saying? Great. This is why I love Grace. Grace coming with the comment of the night, just saying, "I miss Mohammed. Has he gone?" Yeah, I think he's gone. I think he got pretty tired once I stopped once I stopped kind of just answering what he was saying. I was just gonna let him shout. to himself in the chat, really. Um, yeah, I listen, guys. For us, so we know for next time, because we haven't had to deal with that too much, right? Um, listen, if idiots like that or whatever, they come in and they start acting like fools. To a certain extent, we could just let them go, and we could ignore them. It's not that big of a deal. Um, and I don't want it to seem uh I don't want to like ban people. Like if he came in here and he started basically like, because you guys were arguing amongst each other, but if he was in here and he was basically started calling Richard, names or Grace or Axe, or like personally attacking people, especially in the chat, like in our community, if he was saying like nasty vile things, Grace, you don't have to ask me. You can just ban those people if they come and say anything to that nature. And I'm talking about, like sinister stuff, like fucked up shit. Like, if they came in here and said Richard is this is and that, or Grace is this and that, like some vile shit. If they come in here acting like idiots, like he was, he was acting like an idiot. He did say some shit about Ten Hag, which I don't agree with, but you can let it go because I actually want to address them and I want to have a conversation with them, because people like that can't have conversations. Um, People could call you names, but that's what I'm saying. I don't want anybody to come here and attack. I don't want anybody attacking anybody in the chat in that way, because that's not what this is for. But he came in here and he was saying stupid idiotic things, and he clearly cannot formulate like a proper conversation, which I enjoy arguing with those people, because it's fun to mess with them, because they just can't handle it. They can't handle it. So we can let them be in here and act like fools. We'll entertain it for a little bit, right? We'll call them out. We'll expose them. We'll make them look like a prat, right? And then at some point we could just continue to ignore them. They'll get bored and they'll leave. You know what I mean? And sometimes they bring up something and makes the show a little bit more entertaining. So I'm not against banning anybody in that per se, unless they start abusing people. If they start saying, nasty things, or they're cursing at people in the chat, um, you know, then that's a different story. Then we don't need that in our community. So, but yeah, I thought we might as well address it, since we've never had to really deal with that yet. So it was good, but I appreciate that you asked, Grace. And yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I was just making sure that he wasn't like attacking people like in a personal way. So uh, pe- Grace already not a fan of course of Carsley, um, and look, Chad, I did karate 20 years ago. Just saying. Oh shit, Grace did karate. I knew you would. I knew you had to do something. You had to do something. The great Grace is looking to. She's looking to kick people out with her karate. Just doing pa with her karate. She's looking to kick people out. It's good stuff. It's good stuff, and that's why you're our moderator, Grace, because you're the enforcer. You're here to keep shit in check when it gets out of hand. Because I assume one day, um, there will be maybe. I envision somewhere in the future there will be a day where we are discussing, and there might be about 25 Mohammeds in here, just going absolutely batshit crazy. Um, and we're gonna need Grace and her karate skills to defend the channel and the and the community, because yeah, we have 23 votes. On this poll was on from the second I started the show. It's a lot closer than I thought it was gonna be. um we have 57% think that Ten Hag will still be the United manager in December, and 43% have voted that they think. Oh, it just shifted. 54% yes, 46% no, 24 votes. Still way closer than I thought it would be, and I guess that's the optics of it right now. You know, we're still reeling off of the Liverpool loss, and there's nothing we can do about it until next week, of course, because that's when we play. So, yeah. Again, I think if we get a couple good results under our belt, I think the optics will change back. And let's see where we go. I want to see what Ugarte does tonight. Match should be, if it didn't start, it's starting soon. So I might just go throw that on the TV and scout Ugarte a little bit and see what he's doing. I want to see how long he plays because now I'm definitely interested. I guess the people that are completely against Eric Ten Hag are gonna say, he clearly lied about. They're gonna call him a liar, for the Ugarte comments talking about the fitness. And again, maybe he just straight up lied. I mean, there has to be, when you lie, there's a reason why you lie. So, obviously, if he was lying or just making shit up, there's obviously a reason for that. Now, was the reason because maybe he wanted he wants to take the pressure off of Ugarte because there's a lot of expectations for him to come in and make an instant impact? Maybe. I don't know, but we'll see. Grace is so good at karate that Jackie Chan that Jackie Chan's idol is Grace. That's impressive. That's impressive. Did you used to be the he was your stunt double for the movies that he used to do? He was your stunt double. Like you actually did all the actual moves, and he just came in and stunt doubled. But you actually did all the crazy moves that he used to do in the scenes of his movies. Uh Richard Hawk is saying I used to love karate chops. Oh no, sorry, lamb chops. Yeah, lamb chops are good. Um Axe saying European timeline dealing with insomnia here. No Uruguay for me. Yeah, I know. You guys, there's a couple of you again. You guys are fantastic. I mean, a lot of you should be sleeping when I do these shows. Or I know it's very late. So again, I always appreciate that you guys are here and you stay for as long as you can. If there's ever a day that you can't, or you're not feeling up to it, I totally understand. So I always appreciate you guys being here. It takes a lot of dedication, and you don't have to do it. You do it because you want to, and you love the channel and you love our discussions. So thank you always. I always am grateful and respect all the way. Um, because I know it's tough. And Grace calling Jackie Chan a bit of a wimp. That's how we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it here. I got some things to do, and you guys probably need to go to sleep. So, it was a very good show. I don't touch the mic. Every time I touch the mic, something bad happens. Yeah. So it was a very good show for a international break. For a slow news day. Very good. Very involved. Good discussion. I think we had a very good discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you for everybody that's been here. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Greatly appreciated. If anybody that subscribed is a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next live one. Today is Friday. I think we'll probably skip the weekend most likely, unless something crazy breaks, and then we'll just start. We'll start up again on Monday, most likely. And we'll start with the new week because back to regular football at the weekend of next weekend. So, yeah. So good stuff, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you very much. Uh, you're welcome, Richard. And yes, everyone stay safe out there. Be good because we want to see you on the next one. So, um, we might do a surprise one maybe on Sunday. But I'm not. I don't think so because there's actually like NFL and it's probably going to be an all day thing and it's first week. And I am an NFL fan as well. So probably going to be watching that. So be on the lookout Monday, same time as normal. And we will catch you then, unless something major breaks, which I don't expect. So again, enjoy the rest of your nights, mornings, evenings, wherever you're watching from, and we will catch you on the next one. See you guys later. Be good. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay hydrated. Axe Lord.